Bernhard. So, as a tribute to that and all of that madness, I created the Flamingo Road.
Oh, thank you.
And what is it? What's in it?
It's vodka.
Yeah.
Or not.
Not mine.
Some have vodka.
Yes, mine does.
All of them have vodka
Alan
except
has
Morgan's.
double vodka. And you have vodka, gin, rum, and no, I'm only kidding. And it's pomegranate juice, a little guava, and some fresh pineapple juice, and then oranges, apples, and pineapple as your garnish. So,
And it is lovely.
It's good.
Well, lovely.
And is there soda or something in it?
just a dash of club. At the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just to give it a little fizz.
Yeah, it's great,
like
even
a
without the
flamingo.
booze.
Even without the booze, right?
Yes.
Yeah, either way. It'll keep one leg up.
So it looks like a flamingo. You were a big fan of Flamingo Road. That I know. I have to say, I think Dallas is one of the best TV shows that has ever existed in the history of TV. I have a question for you.
Yes.
I mean, this if you deep dive like online, because there are a lot of Dallas fans. You were the original Jenna Wade.
I know.
Were you, because then you did Flamingo Road, and then when Flamingo Road ended, that's when they decided to like really bring the character of Jenna Wade back, and that's when Priscilla Presley was cast. Like, were you, like, set the record straight, were you asked to play Jenna Wade after Flamingo Road? Like,
yes.
You were.
Yes.
And you just wanted to pursue other things?
Well, two things. Number one, I had a deal at that time to produce my own show. With a producing partner, and we had a writer working on a script, and it was for a different network, and it would have been my own show, and I would have been a producer. And so that was one reason. And the second was, I didn't want to get typecast as being on those big cast shows, the soaps and stuff. I'd done that one, and I didn't want to really do another one. So I was kind of worried about that. And also, just stupid me. I mean, it had already been on the air for so long. Who knew it would run so much longer? You're thinking I'm coming in at the end of this thing.
Yeah, sure.
And I've got my own production deal over here, which didn't turn out to work out. But, who knew at the time? So when they came with the offer, that was what I was faced with, of my own production deal or going back and playing a character that I'd already played, but toward the end of a run of a show.
Right, on a show you thought was going to be off. You thought it would be lucky to last another season.
Well, it had already been on for several years.
I mean.
And, back in the
What
day,
are the
7 years was a big run.
Yeah.
And
Big.
who knew it was going to go on forever?
Yeah.
That's kind of everybody's dream. If we can get through 7 years, we're golden.
Well,
Yeah.
if they can get through 3 seasons now, they're in profit. That's the goal, is to get through
Yeah,
3
but
seasons.
then your seasons were how many episodes back then?
13.
No, they
we
were
did
20.
we did 26.
26.
Yeah, but didn't they cut that into 2 seasons, the spring and the fall season?
No, back in ye old days,
Yep.
they did 26. Usually a show would be 23 or so. We did 26 because you couldn't run the soap operas in reruns the same year. They just didn't play well because everybody knew what was going to happen.
Right.
So they did extra shows. It was an extra long
Yep.
season
Right.
for the soaps.
Even with my dad in Rockford, there were 26 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Right, but I thought that they always took that break or they split them in half.
We didn't.
And then,
they didn't either.
okay.
No, I feel...
All right. Well, I never watched Dallas, so I never even went there. I didn't actually watch any of them until Dynasty came along, and only because it had that huge following, and it was it swept through UCLA, and everybody was stopping classes and doing to watch it at night.
Yeah.
So I got hooked that way.
And you're so loyal to Joan.
But I didn't know her then.
But you wanted to. Speaking of loyalty, this is an interesting thing. There was a magazine called One Woman,
Yeah.
and their debut
Oh, I would have brought
magazine-
one. I would have brought one if I'd known you were going to talk about it.
And that was completely dedicated to you.
Yeah, yeah. It was a
all-
concept. It was a concept these people came up with. The publishers came up with to do a whole magazine on one woman each month. It didn't last very long, and have 6 different photographers shoot the same woman and see what kind of different looks and everything they could come up with. So it was great fun. Wow. I got to work with David Bailey, who the hippest photographer in the world at that point. The sort of progenitor for Blow Up, the movie Blow Up, which young people won't know what that is, but it was terribly hip at the time. And George Harrell, I got to work with George Harrell.
Wow.
And for those who don't know, George Harrell was the just godfather of movie magic and shot all of the stars at MGM and made everybody from Garbeau to Dietrich to Jean Harlow to look like goddesses. So
and me.
and
Did you see the photo, the Harrell photo that I did?
No.
So
that was back in '32, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh no, I think merch earlier. No, I represented Mark Vieira.
Yeah.
Mark Vieira is a big he's photographer and a Hollywood fact guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And he actually took over the Harrell Studios down off of that lake. What's that lake downtown with the big park around it? You know which one I'm talking about? MacArthur Park.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Harrell's studio was there. Mm-hmm. And he has the original camera that Harrell used and the lens.
Well, that was the thing. He was using this camera from 1920s. So you slide a glass frame into it, and then you have to hold perfectly still for 10 seconds while they get the picture.
Yeah, and then he corrected it. He did all the corrections with lead pencil.
Yeah, yeah.
Right on the
like
negative.
An etching almost on the.
It's very cool. Well, you've seen the photos, those black and white photos.
I want to get copies of these photos that Harrell did of me. He promised me copies of them, and it was supposed to be part of my deal with the magazine, but then I didn't really get them. I'm not sure how to get them now.
Who would have the Harrell stuff?
I'm not sure how to get them now.
I think, somebody has his estate of
I just need to find out who.
Yeah.
But he was so lovely. He was such a lovely gentleman. He was so elderly. At that point, he was like 90 years old. And they said, he's not going to work past 6 because he's 90 years old or whatever. And so I said, okay, great. And so we worked all day. And then it got to be 6 and then 6:30. And I said, I thought he didn't want to work past 6. And they said, no, he loves working with you. You're like the old stars. You understand the camera and he loves working with you. So I was very flattered to hear that from George Harrell, who worked with everybody.
And he gave everybody that skin, that fluorescence luminescent skin.
Well, he made all the MGM stars look like goddesses. I mean, it was the beginning of the film industry.
I looked at it, and it was the first time I ever saw a photo of myself, and I said, I rather like that.
Yeah. I look pretty good.
I didn't shave or anything. They take it all out with lead. It's unbelievable how they do it.
Yeah.
So it was quite interesting.
Well, I definitely want a copy of that magazine.
Oh, I've got him at home. I would have brought him if I'd known you wanted to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No. Well, Philip made me promise to bring it up to you because he still has the issue that he bought.
Oh, great.
He's like, please tell her.
Well,
so maybe I'll have you
artistically, it was a very interesting concept. And so to get to work with each of these really famous, Mario Casilli and, I worked with all these different photographers who were really brilliant in their own right and coming up with concepts of how to shoot me and what to do. And, some of them were bizarre and some of them, like David Bailey put me on the front of on the hood of a 1956 Thunderbird in a waitress's uniform in front of tiny nailers, and in the middle of the day, and I'm and the tour buses are going by trying to look up my dress, and I'm like lying on this thing, and the sun is like beating on your face, and I can't look at it. David keeps saying, "Look up, darling, look up." No, baby, he kept calling me baby. Look up, baby, look up. And I'm like, I said, and I can't hear the camera, and I'm saying, "Are you shooting?" And I look over, and he forgot one of his cameras. He goes to the car to get it, and leaves me staring in the sun with tourists looking up my dress.
Tiny nailers.
Yes, not there anymore. For people who don't know, Tiny Nailers was a very well-known kind of drive-in, like old-fashioned drive-in, like out of Happy Days. Yeah,
it was like a Mel's
yeah,
Diner
like where you'd
kind of
pull
thing.
in and the waitress would come out, and I'm doing the waitress costume. We'd come out and take your order and then bring your food to the car.
That's fun.